Hi, welcome to another lesson for your ukulele strumming course. Today, the lesson will be on the jazz ukulele strum. Before we get started, make sure you grab a few things. First of all, music sheet number 1, you want to grab the jazz ukulele strum paper. And then you also want to grab your blank ukulele fretboard diagram. This diagram is all filled with blank ukulele diagrams and your music sheet. Grab those two things. In fact, go ahead and pause the tutorial, tune up your ukulele, and then grab those two things and come on back. We'll get started in a second. Okay, so you notice that there's no chord diagrams on your music sheet. They're located on your chord chart, and I also put on the board chords that I thought might be unfamiliar to you. Okay, now the way we're going to do this is you're actually going to have to do some work here because you're going to learn faster. What you're going to do is you're going to copy down whatever chord that is unfamiliar to you, maybe a little difficult, into this diagram exactly the way you see it. Okay, so for instance, C major 7, you would copy down that first finger, which is on the first string, second fret, and then put in the number 1 to remind you that you're using a first finger for that chord. And just write it in here and put C major 7 above it or below it or next to it or wherever you want to put it to let you know that's a C major 7. Now, the reason why you're doing this is because people learn faster when they actually do the work. So in other words, we learn when we watch people, but we don't learn as fast. So let's say you were to start a new job, and you got to learn your new job and how to and what to do. You're going to learn faster your job if you actually do the work. Okay, so same principle. Keep in mind, you want to keep all these lessons kind of like a classroom experience. So you actually want to do some work and take notes. You're just going to learn faster. Now, if that's not your style, you just want to keep watching it over and over and over, that's fine too. Okay, so let's go for the chords so I can talk about that and so you can start copying them down. D7, D minor 7, you get two types of D minor 7s. Here's one, the fingering is right here. Here's another one, it's a Bora chord, first finger covering all the strings on the 5th fret. We talked about the C major 7. This is a C6, okay? And if you look at this, you see the first finger is just like a C chord, okay? And you just add on your second and third finger. A minor should be a chord that maybe you know already, but there it is. It's also in your chord diagram. G9, which is also based off a G7 chord, but this is a G9. 1, 2, 3, 4. G9, fingering 1, 2, 3, 4. Another G9, located on your 5th fret. Your third finger covers down 3 strings on your 5th fret. First finger on the top on your 4th fret. Make sure you take your time when you're copying down the chords. No need to rush. You have all the time in the world. Next, E minor 7. 2nd fret, you got the fingers 2 and 3. E minor 7. Last column over here, you got an A7. You should know already. If not, that's the first finger there. And now notice that the A9 is based off of the A7. See how that looks exactly the same? Just add the third finger in the bottom, 2nd fret, first string. Now, the C6. Here's another way of making a C6, down here. I will not be playing this C6. Okay, however, if you want to, maybe you find this a little bit difficult, you want to play that, that's a lot easier. There's no fingering, there's no chords, there's nothing, just open strings, C6. Okay, this is the one. So I'll be playing all the chords except for that chord. I will not play that C6 in the lesson. Now, if you notice at the bottom of your music, right down here, I wrote that on the board to explain it to you. So this is exactly what you see on your paper. You got C major 7, 2 slashes, C6, 2 slashes. What that means is C major 7, 2 beats, C6, 2 beats. Now keep in mind, I did not say strums, I said 2 beats, okay? So in actuality, it's C major 7, 1 strum, C6, 1 strum, and we'll talk about that later when we get down to that. Now there's 2 icons at the bottom right corner of your screen. First icon is kind of like a gear wheel, a wheel of a gear. if you click that on, this is the high definition option. So you click on this icon, the gear wheel, you see some options. Click on the number, then click on the highest possible number. It should be around 1080, 1080. That should be the highest number. That means it's the clearest high fidelity definition for the tutorial. And it's this tutorial is made in high definition, so you should be able to see it clearly. Next to it is a square icon, just like, looks exactly like this. You click that on and that's your full screen. So whatever you're watching it on, this entire presentation, this entire tutorial will fill up your whole screen that you're watching. Okay, now at this point what you want to do is you want to just pause the tutorial, copy down whatever chords onto this paper exactly how you see it, and to remind you, once you do that, you're going to find that you're going to learn the chords faster. So you want to do that. Now if you're not doing that, it's just going to take you longer. Another way you can do this too is that if you want to come back to this lesson, maybe you find it a little difficult, go and do the other lessons, and then when you're ready you can come on back. But for those of you who are ready, we're going to move on and get started. Okay, so the first line on your music paper, you got D minor 7, G7/G9, C major 7, C major 7, then a repeat sign. I'm going to play it with a thumb strum just to show you an example of the rhythm. I'll give a 4 count. Make sure that you're tapping your foot and you're counting out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, tapping your foot. Don't forget. Here we go. This is just an example. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's just an example of how I'm going to play it. Now, I used a thumb strum on that. Oh, by the way, right hand and left hand techniques will not be covered in the strumming tutorials or strumming lessons. You need to watch those lessons and tutorials separately and apply them to the strumming lessons. Okay, moving on. Here we go. I'm going to use a free finger strum this time. Same thing. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to play G9, but if you want to play G9, you're perfectly welcome. Keep in mind G7, G9, they're basically from the same family. They're the same, basically the same kind of chord, but just a different kind of sound. Okay, I'm not going to get too much into theory. Those are offered in the courses that we have available, so if you want to learn more about theory, you got to check those out. Here we go. 4 count. 1, 2, 3, well, with the repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, D minor 7, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're moving on to the next line. In this next line, I'm going to be playing a G9, this style. It's on the board, this style of G9 over here. So make sure that you did your work on that, because we're moving on. If not, please go back and copy it down and learn the chord. Here's a 4 count with the repeat. I'm also playing a C6. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. At this point, we played lines 1 and lines 2. If that was too fast, please play it slower. If it was too easy, by all means, you can play it faster. So once again, if that was too fast, slow it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you have to go slower than that, go slower than that. Make sure that you tap your foot, you count out loud, and you keep your timing and rhythm even as smooth as possible. Okay. Next, you're going to see the diagram in the middle of the page. You see a couple of dots, then you see some diagonal lines, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4 with a repeat sign. Okay, so the rhythm, I want you to just to feel, watch what I'm doing, and just try to imitate what I'm doing. So this is going to be easier to learn the rhythm rather than try to understand it theoretically, musically. Okay, so the way I'm doing this drum is this. If you notice the round circle, the dot, it's right above the number 1 and falls in between the 2 and the 3, and it repeats in the next 4 beats. And then you have a repeat sign, which basically just tells you to keep repeating, just keep repeating and keep practicing it. So the rhythm goes like this: bump, 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 bump. So do this with me: bump, bump, and then make the sound as I'm doing it. I'm just saying bump, 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 bump. Okay, so try that several times before you move on from this point. In fact, try it as many times as possible to really get familiar with the rhythm. Bump, 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 bump. Okay? So if you are ready to move on, we'll get moving on here. So let me just kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to play that first line for you just to show you the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. By the way, when I said that first line, I meant the first line under that diagram. So in other words, what I meant is here's 1 and here's 2, the 2 bottom lines. I'll say 1 and 2. There's the 2 bottom lines. That's what I meant. Okay, so that was the rhythm of the song, and I was basically just using free thumb strum. So let's try it together. You don't have to use a free thumb strum. You can use a free finger strum if you want. Here we go. So I'm going to do the free thumb strum. We'll give a 4 count, and then we'll take that line here. This is line number 1, line number 2, line number 1, line number 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you just repeat the line. So that's the line that I'm playing. Let's try it again. I'll do a free thumb strum. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can repeat it. Okay, now we're going on down to the last line of the page, last line of the page. This is where I talked about that C major 7 and C6. So basically it's 1 strum per chord. So in other words, 1 for the C major 7, 1 for the C6, and then you continue the line with 2 strums per chord. Now the chords that I'll be using on this last line will be C major 7, C6, A minor 7, D minor 7, G9, E minor 7, E9, D minor 7 on the 5th fret, G9, okay, and then repeat, okay? So here we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, I'm going to try it again with the free finger strum, and basically I'm kind of having a little staccato kind of strum. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just repeat the pattern, okay? So I know this has maybe been a little bit difficult for some. Keep in mind that the chords are a little bit more elaborate than the usual chords that we use in the lessons. However, and the rhythm, okay, it is a little syncopated, which means it's not really your basic 4/4 on the beat kind of really commercial sounding song. So that's why I told you to follow the example of me establishing the rhythm for you, and then if you really want to pursue more jazz music and jazz theoretical musical terminologies, then you can do your own study in that and see the notations on how it works out. But the quickest way you're going to learn it is really just copying what the person is doing and try to feeling and applying the same rhythm that the example is. Okay, so if you need to, go back to the beginning, try those chords again. Keep in mind that in the beginning, the first 2 lines, you have an option of substituting G7 or G9. Either chord will work. You decide on which chord you want to make. And also the C6, you have 2 versions here, C6 and C6 there. Okay, so give that a try. And if it's a little hard, don't be discouraged. Just keep on trying. And once again, like I said, go back to that section of the tutorial where you copy down the chords. It's really going to help you. It's going to help you learn faster. Okay, whatever way you decide to do it, whenever you think you're ready and ready to move on to the next lesson, we shall see you then.